Hello and welcome to the Mainly Eminem podcast in association with ePro. On today's show, we'll be discussing 50 Cent's final lap tour in Manchester, the Eminem and Fortnite collaboration, the merchandise eBay fiasco, and we'll go through our Spotify Wrapped list. Joining me as ever is Blake and Ross. Guys, thanks for joining me. How are you today? Okay?
Not too bad, pal. How are we?
We're good, and it's we're getting to that sort of just before Christmas as well. So start of December, looking forward to the Christmas period as well. So we'll start off with 50 Cent and his final lap tour. Blake was in Manchester for the gig. Now the gig, it's a world tour that 50's doing, of course. It's the 20th anniversary of Get Rich or Die Trying. So he is doing just about every sort of city on the planet he could name. He started off the tour on July the 21st and it will end on the 14th of December. As it stands at the moment, he's done roughly about 90 shows. I think by the time he finishes his tour, he would have just done over 105. So yeah, Blake was at the Manchester gig just last week there, and yeah, Blake, if you can give us a little insight to what happened and how it went off.
Yeah, so obviously got the train into Manchester. Get into Victoria Station, which is literally right next to the AO Arena where he was doing his show. I've got to say there was two people I met while I was waiting to actually go in. Probably some of the nicest people I've ever met, because obviously we're all there to watch the same thing, so you've got that instant bond and that instant connection with those people because obviously it's a common interest.
Yeah.
And, they said they'd check out the show, so if those people are listening, shout out to you guys, because obviously that wait was made loads better by talking to those people and, sharing like a couple of stories. And one of the lads had, tattoos of Obi Trice's signature. Obi Trice actually signed his arm and he got it tattooed, and he had Swifty from D12's signature tattooed on him. So again, he was a brilliant lad to talk to. I do apologise, I can't remember the names. Obviously, it was 2 or 3 weeks ago as we're recording this now. So I do apologise, I don't remember the names. But yeah, shout out to those lads. Once you get in, I did the usual, checked out the merch stands, bought myself a Get Rich or Die Trying vinyl, because obviously that's the main thing of this show. It's 20 years since Get Rich or Die Trying came out. Circled round, spoke to some more people. Obviously, you go in, find me seat. I tried getting in nice and early just because, it's nice to sit down, relax just before everything kicks off. I'd say so a DJ came out at 8 o'clock. He started off with, performing Eminem songs, mixed into Dr. Dre, a couple of newer tracks. By this point, I'd gone out to get a drink, so I couldn't really tell you what else he played, but that was a brilliant little start just to get people warmed up for the shows coming up.
Yeah.
Straight after that, just Sam coming in, Jeremiah's hit the stage, and the women, mate, were going absolutely off the head. Once is the song called Birthday Sex or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
Mate, so there must have been some birthdays in there, mate, because once that started, you couldn't hear for nothing, right? But to be fair, his energy, the backing set, it was incredible. Brilliant warm-out act. There was quite a long wait till... So after Jeremiah came out, it was Busta Rhymes, but in between there was a little bit of a wait, which wasn't too bad. It was a nice little, sit down, relax, chill out, basically. Busta Rhymes came out, and I tell you what, mate, if Busta Rhymes does more shows in the UK, I reckon we all go, because
we need to go.
He was only out for what could have been 40 minutes to an hour. It felt close to the 40 minutes mark, but it felt like he was out for a good while, but not once did I feel bored. You had Busta Rhymes, you had Spliff, and the energy they had with that crowd. There was one point where they did this, what I can only describe as like a goofy Scooby-Doo walk. So they walked to the right-hand side of the arena, and they basically said, "Excuse me, there's no sitting down at a Busta Rhymes show." And they tell everyone jump up, and they're bouncing around, start doing a couple of other chants, and then they walk over to the left side doing the same Scooby-Doo walk, mate. It was absolutely hilarious. If I find the video, I'll have to send it to you boys in our chat. But yeah, they basically do the same thing on the left side, and mate, the energy Busta Rhymes and Spliff had was unreal. Like, yeah, it was comedic the whole way through. he basically gave a nice little insight saying when 50 Cent first toured, they were on the tour with him, 20 years ago. So they're basically saying it's nice that everyone's still healthy, still happy, no one's falling out, and the fact that they could do this 20 years on is a real testament. So that was nice. They did this nice little Queen tribute. They played "We Are the Champions." That was good. Obviously, Busta Rhymes, I believe, as of now, the album is out. He was announcing that his album Blockbuster was coming out.
Yeah, I've just seen that. I've listened to a few tracks. It's actually really good.
Yeah, so that's out as as we're speaking now. So again, anyone who's listening, go and give that a listen, because that, Danny just said, there's a few songs off there which are absolute corkers of songs. Brilliant. Again, there's not really much more to say about, but it was comedic, it was energetic, it was absolutely fantastic. Like, if he does shows in the UK with this new album, or just in the future in general, I am 100% going, because that energy I felt, honestly, couldn't rival it with anything else that I've experienced.
Yeah, you'd like to think that just with doing, like, obviously supporting 50 throughout this tour, that, he's probably picked up a few extra fans along the way as well. So I'd say there's definitely an appetite for
It's funny you say that, because on the train back, I was actually talking to someone, basically before I put my headphones in to watch a little bit of TV on the train back, but I was talking to someone just before the train left, and they were saying, like, obviously they knew the, Busta Rhymes track, where he's on Chris Brown's songs, and the one that he's on with Mariah Carey and stuff like that. Like, they knew those obvious tracks, but they were there, like, they didn't go into the show really caring much for Busta Rhymes, and they've left, and they've basically downloaded, Busta Rhymes' discography. They listened to it on the train. They're there like, I couldn't believe what they were missing out on. And
yeah,
I would definitely say, if there's anyone who's listening who hasn't really given Busta Rhymes a chance, give him a chance, because it was just hit after hit after hit, and the visual. So in the background stage, like, they had when he came out, he was sort of sat on like this big chair, like throne type thing, span round to do the big reveal that he was on stage. But all behind that was like a big LED screen, or multiple screens, and they were basically showing the music videos to his songs as he was performing them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, he was interacting with the crowd loads. Again, absolutely brilliant. There was another quite a big wait while everyone was waiting for 50 Cent to come out. Now, 50 Cent's actual coming into the arena, it was brilliant. Have you boys ever seen when Santi Cazorla got announced for, was it Valencia, or it was some Spanish team, and he was in this pod filled with smoke, and then he appears?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for when he signed for Villarreal.
That was it. It was Villarreal. Yeah. So that reveal, it was really good. So obviously you can see them getting the stage ready. These two glass boxes enclosed together. Obviously it filled with smoke. There's light shows going off everywhere, and he comes out, big stance, finger up in the air, and instantly straight into the music. Tony Ayo comes out, backing dancers come out, there's pyrotech, there's lights, everything. It was absolutely unreal. There was a lot of, I tell you what, he must have been knackered, the amount of outfit changes he went through. Mate, the outfit change were unreal. Obviously, I'm not going to drag on too much, just because obviously, if there's anyone listening that hasn't been yet, or if there's anyone listening which has been, I'm not going to bore you with every single song he performed. He obviously did all the hits off Get Rich or Die Trying, did a couple off The Massacre, did Big Rich Town, which I was so happy he performed, because obviously, Power is unbelievable.
Love that show. Fucking love that show.
So like I say, he did Big Rich Town. Mate, I presume like most people have seen the videos on Twitter and, YouTube stuff. When he performed Many Men, he's got like these baseball jerseys on, or whatever jerseys they are. And each beat for the opening of Many Men, a shirt gets pulled off him until he's in like this white vest tee. I've got to be honest, mate, that's probably the coolest thing I've seen in my life, and I've seen a lot of cool things, but that was absolutely brilliant. Again, I don't want to spoil for anyone who hasn't already been, but there were so many good things going on. Again, he must have been on the stage for an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours. I didn't actually leave the arena until must have been 10 to 11, because there was one bit where everyone thought it was finished. as soon as people start getting up, his DJ comes up like, whoa, Manchester, don't leave just yet. You know, if you want Fifth to come back, you know, keep doing this. Got the crowd going again, and mate, he was out for a good 20 minutes even after that point. So again, credit. Out of all the shows I've ever been to in my life, that has definitely become number one.
What track did they finish with?
The last track he performed was "I'll Whip Your Head, Boy."
I'll whip your head, boy.
Mate, the bass off that one, and he had flames going off. He had a laser show going on while it was on.
Was that from the? Was that song is from the soundtrack of Get Rich or Die Trying? If I'm right in saying.
I believe it is. I'll double check for you right now.
Did he do Window Shopper?
He did Window Shopper.
It's a classic.
I will load up exactly what he did because I did make a little playlist while I was on the train home. So he did a little bit of Out of Control, Disco Inferno. That was unreal. Just a little bit. He did obviously his verse of Hate It or Love It. It was brilliant though because like once he finished doing Hate It or Love It, there was like a little bit of a break in between songs, and he must have clocked someone in the front row started rapping the Games verse, and it was funny because he just looked at him, shook his head, just went, "I don't think so." So that made me chuckle a little bit. Like I say, he did, you know, near enough all the hits from Get Rich or Die Trying.
Did he do any songs that M was featured on? Like, obviously he wasn't there to perform them, but did he do Patiently Waiting or Don't Push Me or anything like that?
He didn't do Patiently Waiting. To be fair, I can't remember if he did Don't Push Me, because obviously there was a lot of mixing up the songs where he was performing them fast.
He's got such a strong discography as well, so it's like it's really hard to sort of
like there was
pick the favourites.
I think he did one of Animal Ambition, but I can't remember the actual track it was. Like I say, I'd have to go back and obviously message your boys privately, but again, like for how long the show was going on for, it was 100% value for money. I couldn't really knock it for anything. The only thing you could arguably knock was the waiting time between each act coming out, but even then, you've got to remember that obviously they've got to set the stage up, then they've got to get the DJs ready. So even at that, you know, it wasn't too bad. So I can't grumble at it, in fairness.
So it was at the Ep8 Arena in Manchester. What, I take it was obviously a sellout. What roughly was the sort of capacity for it?
I believe, I'm sure one of the DJs said there was around 20,000 people in there, 21,000 people in.
Yeah, that's impressive, like considering that he's not done a lot of touring over the last sort of, 5-8 years or whatever, and then he can just announce a tour and sell out your cities in the UK and obviously across the world as well. It's very impressive. Eminem should take note.
And I know he sold out Glasgow, not the first show, the second show was sold out. I believe, I actually think that, so I went to the first Manchester show and I think that was the first show that did sell out fully. I don't think Birmingham sold out.
He added like second dates for a lot of the cities as well, and he'd probably done maybe potentially 3 or 4 in London as well.
To be fair, I think that is the case because a lot of the second dates did sell out because I think they sort of undersold the tickets for the first dates. Because if you remember when it first got announced, there was only the 5 dates. There was Glasgow, Birmingham, Manchester, London, and another one. I can't remember what it was. And then obviously he doubled up on the dates.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at the sort of UK and Ireland one. So we kicked off in Dublin on the 6th of November, doing 2 nights over in Dublin, followed by Glasgow, Manchester, London, Birmingham, another night in Birmingham, back to Manchester, the OVO Arena in Wembley, and done Newcastle as well, and then he went back to Glasgow, and then this time he went to London, but this time it was the O2 Arena. So yeah, he's beat the sort of major cities in the UK as well. So yeah, impressive numbers, ticket sales, everything. I also want to discuss with Ross the fact that 50 Cent's been going. He's been going for Diddy a lot recently, Ross, hasn't he?
Yeah, quite a bit. Do you know what? I'll tell you what though, you can never really fault 50 Cent's feeds on Twitter or on Instagram. Some of the stuff that man is coming out with is outrageous. He is one of the few people that does still get away with some of the. Did you see the the photo he put up of Jada, Will Smith's wife, in
No,
the
I
car.
didn't see that. No.
He put up a photo of the car Tupac was shot in, and like where Tupac sat in the passenger seat, he put Jada's head in his lap. Like,
No.
yeah, and he posted. But you know what he's like, and I think 50 Cent's even going to keep going at Diddy, probably because as
He's
well
not
he knows
stopping.
he's going to carry on. Even Eminem's had a couple of shots at him, hasn't he? So it doesn't really surprise me. He'd probably wind each other up.
You know what? I saw a video, funnily enough, just literally this morning, and it was I can't remember the comedian's name, but he was there like, I think from now on, we need to start look at who 50 Cent's got an issue with and why he's got an issue with him, because depending on what the issue is, we need to start looking into the people that 50 Cent's got issues with, and it is so true, because he's had issues with Diddy, and he even predicted this court case before he even got announced, so I think it definitely needs to start getting looked into.
Yeah, I think that probably there'll be obviously a sort of small circle in the music industry and, you know, Hollywood, etc. And yeah, obviously, I think 50 Cent knows some other stuff, but he also has to probably watch what he says. But he's definitely got him by the balls at the moment anyway, and he's just continuing to absolutely slate him on social media, which is very funny to see. So we shall move on to the next topic, which is the Eminem and Fortnite collaboration. Now, I am a little bit older, and I'll be honest, I've not played Fortnite before. Don't know too much about it, but Ross is going to explain a little bit of what it is and what's going to happen in the next couple of days with, you know, skins and bundles and packages about the game that involves Eminem. So Ross, if you can digest a little bit into that, please.
So I haven't like played a great deal of Fortnite probably since like 2018, but like I understand that obviously it's a battle royale game. It's a bit like Warzone, which, you know, I'm sure Blake has played as well. So it's just same premise: 100 players in a lobby, or 100 plus, however many it is. Last team alive, and you can either do it alone, in duos, in squads, whatever. But the idea is that because it's a bit more aimed at an easier network, it's a free-to-play game. So you don't necessarily have to put money in to buy the game up front. That's why they can sort of justify the amount of skins and stuff they sell. And because of that, they then collaborate with other artists. So this sort of update that's introduced Eminem is apparently part of the OG update. So like, it's, again, if you don't really sort of like play the game like often, you won't really understand, but there's one map that everyone plays on, and every time they update the game, they tend to change something about the map. And because it's been however many years since the first time that map was first released, they've gone back to the original version of it. So you can play Fortnite how it was back in 2018 with all the extra sort of gimmicks that they've added in the game. So because of that, they do these like live concerts with some artists, and I think I'm not too sure if I'm 100% right, but the first artist to do it was Travis Scott, and he did it around the time Astroworld released. So he had a digital like concert in the game with his own avatar that like performed all his music. He had all these wicked animations where your character would be like flying through space with him while he's performing like stargazing, stuff like that. So it was really cool. And effectively what's happened is they're going to do one with Eminem on, I think it's Saturday. You'll be able to go on at a certain time, load into the game, and instead of having a normal game of Battle Royale where everyone's trying to kill each other, there'll be this live concert and event where Eminem will be performing a couple of his songs. It won't actually be like him in like a VR suit performing it. It will be a pre-animated, obviously. It will be his own avatar. But based on the skins that they've already released, if it's going to be the one they've got, it's a blonde-haired, either a blonde-haired Slim Shady skin wearing a white t-shirt and a hoodie with Shady across it. He's wearing his dog tags, like a silver bracelet, some baggy jeans, and some white trainers. And then you've got the Marshall Mathers skin, which is him from the Music to Be Murdered By era, where he's wearing like the suit with the fedora and he's got a pistol, and he's got his beard and his dark hair. And then you've got the Rat Boy skin as well, which is obviously a reference to like Business, where it was, and like the Without Me music video where he dressed up as like Batman and Robin, etc.
That's right.
So he's got like a bomber jacket on with fingerless gloves, like from like the 2000s era as well, and then like a Robin eye mask where his eyes are white. So you can play as 3 different iterations of him, and I think on one of them there's like an emote, one of the packs that you can buy, where if you do this certain thing in the game, you can make your character perform the real Slim Shady as the Eminem skin. So it's just, again, it's one of those gimmicks.
I've seen that, you know, the performance is of course supposed to be this coming Saturday. How is that going to go? Because I take it's going to be pre-recorded, of course, but is it going to do hits from Music to Be Murdered By? Like, do we know?
Yeah, I don't think
how
anything's
it's
been
gonna go?
announced about it. Nothing's been formally said about what to sort of expect. It's interesting that he's got like the real Slim Shady era, like the Eminem show era, and now the Music to Be Murdered By era. There's a couple of different weapons on there, for example, as well. So if you're the Slim Shady era, you get the chainsaws with the Slim Shady on them, and they like glow up different colors when you hit people. And then if you do the Music to Be Murdered By one, you got the axes. So I'm guessing because they've put so much time into the themes of the albums, they're going to do music from both. Maybe like Godzilla, that's gone pretty viral over TikTok and stuff. I'd be surprised if he doesn't do the real Slim Shady Without Me. But effectively, he could do it however he wants. The map that the players load onto, at that point, what they'll do is pre-animate a whole sort of set and envision. They did one for like Godzilla versus Kong when that movie came out. They had a giant Godzilla and Kong come onto the map and fight each other. You can't do anything to interfere with it, but it's just happening around your characters. So it's like a live event. If you miss it, you won't be able to see it again. But they'll obviously have X amount of servers that you can log into, etc. So it won't be hard to see it.
I seen on Twitter that there was a picture of possibly him in like a Music to Be Murdered By sort of suit or whatever, but above it said Marshall No More, and a lot of people are sort of alluding to the fact it could be an Easter egg, it could mean something. What do you think about that?
So some of the names of the skins, like you said, there's the Marshall Nevermore one, and there's a weird thing as well. You have these like gliders in the game for when you jump out the bus. So normally it's just like a hang glider thing, but for M&Ms they've added like a weird robotic crow. I don't know why. I don't really get the point of it, but it's called the Raven Express glider. Now I know there's like a raven on the album cover of Music to Be Murdered By, I think. But I don't think it's ever been addressed other than that it's just on the album cover. So it's a bit strange. I don't really know, but I don't know maybe if the Marshall Nevermore is just a weird bundle because there's loads of stuff in it. I don't really know. I'd like to think new music is coming, and this is a good way to promote it.
Yeah, Blake, we were discussing yesterday that they possibly alluded to the fact that there could be an announcement towards the end of this performance.
Yeah, it's I don't know, it's a weird one because it's the only thing to me which makes sense. So if they're going to do a whole thing and it's literally just going to announce, I don't know, if it's something game related and they've just used Eminem just to get the eyes on the game. It's nothing to do with Eminem. Then obviously fair fucks, but at the same time, it's a bit of a wasted opportunity for his side of things. But at the same time, it's like, is he going to release it? Well, is he going to announce an album because it's so different and it's so Obviously, I know Ross could probably back me up a little. Well, not back me up, but confirm it, but I'm sure after the Travis Scott one, he'd not long released or announced his next album.
Yeah, it was Astroworld. That's why it was all this weird like lucid acidy theme. But yeah, it was Astroworld, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so it's one of those because obviously they've released a little teaser about it, and the first character that comes up is the Slim Shady one. So I presume it is going to be a combination of old Slim Shady tracks, because I know once this event is done, like near enough his whole discography you can actually listen to in game from what I was reading. So it's one of those, like it would be a good way to announce new music, because obviously you're going to have streamers streaming it to all their hundreds of thousands of fans. Obviously you're going to have casual players playing it to watch it. You're going to have a load of new eyes and new fans watching the show. So it would be smart. It's the only thing which makes sense to me, but at the same time it wouldn't make sense because it is such a brand new, unique way of doing it. And for Eminem's team, I don't know if that's it just seems above what they have done ever before. So I don't know.
Yeah, it seems to be a good marketing plan anyway, doesn't it?
Well, it's worth noting that Travis Scott's Astroworld concert had over 12 million people attend.
Oofed. Wow.
So yeah, exactly. It would be completely stupid to not promote something or release something with that amount. And plus, it's Eminem. There are people that have probably got kids playing this game that know more about Eminem than the kids do. So they're probably going to be like, oh yeah, I might check that out.
Yeah. So I think it would be a bit of a wasted opportunity if nothing came from it. Like there was no sort of any sort of new music or any sort of album, but it would be a complete waste of time if they were to do this and then nothing came and they sort of disappeared again for a few months. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed, by the time this episode airs we probably will know fully what's happened by then. But yeah, so the performance is on this coming Saturday. Just around the corner. So yeah, we'll see what happens from that, and if anything in the future arises. So the other topic would be the merch drop that's just been announced. I mean, I don't know if you guys are sort of keeping up with them. There's so many merch drops just now.
Yeah.
But I believe this one, if I'm right in saying, is for the Marshall Mathers LP2, which of course hit its 10-year anniversary just the other month there. So there was a number of things that were online. I think if I'm right in saying, the Spider-Man Eminem comic book collaboration was put on it, and there was a boombox inspired by the Berserk music video, and a host of sort of other stuff. But as some of you will know, they went on sale, and within probably maybe under 2 or 3 minutes they were all sold out. But the thing that is annoying the fan base a lot is that the majority of those sales have now went over onto eBay. And these people are selling them, at 10 times the price were. So I just want to get what's your take on all this nonsense? Is there anything that Paul Rosenberg and Eminem's label could do to stop this from happening?
Probably like a two-way authenticator thing to stop people from just mass doing it. So like, if you were to, let's say, go onto the thing, you have to put in your email, send in an authenticator, put in a certain PIN, then that link will take you to another one that you get another email for. That'll obviously increase the time the window people have to buy them. But I also think as well it will stop people from just duplicating their tabs and buying, I don't know, like 12 in almost the second, 10 seconds. It's ridiculous.
So is there not even a limit on? I mean, I've bought a few stuff, but I don't think there is a limit. You could probably buy as many copies as you want, possibly.
It's the problem, isn't it? Like, and the thing is like, because it's just going, people are already listing the stuff on eBay and they haven't even received it. Like, they're already posting things up with prices and stuff that over exceed the price they're selling it for. So it's just ridiculous. There's got to be something they can do.
And to be fair, the ones on eBay as well, this is where they're really snidey with it, because with eBay, once you purchase it, you only get a 30-day return or cancellation period. Now, the 10-year anniversary, so I've bought a CD. That's all I bought from the jocks. It'd be a nice thing to have, and little bits like that. But so with eBay, you only get a 30-day window. Now, the stuff isn't actually getting shipped until February, which actually could be delayed because the last drop he did, which I've had an email for this evening saying that it's been delayed again.
Another delay.
This is it. So if there's 2 delays on a drop, which was basically 2 or 3 months before this current drop,
God,
it's probably going to be March or April before these things really start getting shipped and received. So by that point, people could have, put loads of so the Spider-Man collection, that was, I think, for signed copies, they were all signed, and people selling them for $1,200 or whatever. But so people could spend all that money. And then once these items have been shipped, what's to stop the seller from basically not sending it? Because at that point, it's gone past the 30-day period. And at that point, you're basically excuse my French, but you're shite out of luck. So this is where I don't agree with the price points either, but I don't agree with the fact that people are putting these items on eBay, knowing full well that they could quite happily scam someone out who's spent all this money just to get a signed item.
Yeah, that's true. I think that the only sort of good thing with eBay is it is a sort of buyer's market, so they are always protected. So there would be a way that people probably would get their money back, but they would also end up losing out on the actual the whatever it was they ordered, which is going to suck. But I think they seriously need to look into it a little bit more and try and see if they can stop, either limit it to 1 or 2 per IP address, or I don't know the ins and outs how to stop it, but it's getting a little bit, people are a little bit pissed off with it, because it seems to be especially the signed stuff, because I think the generic sort of stuff that isn't signed is easy enough to get a hold of, but the signed stuff is selling out within minutes, and as we say, it's going straight onto eBay, and it's just a money making scheme for the sellers on eBay, which is a bit shit. But hopefully maybe something can happen with it in the future. Right, guys, do any of yous have Eminem as a sort of notification when he posts on Twitter?
Yeah.
And are you getting pissed off with the fact that he's consistently tweeting about the Detroit Lions and is it Barry Sanders?
When he posted that tweet the other day, it was just the eye emojis, and it just came up on my phone as Eminem eye emojis. I was like, what is that? Opened it, and it's just him or Paul. I'm looking at you. Is either just tweeting from his account or whatever. You cannot do that to people. I'm not even like probably one of the most insane Eminem fans. Probably people out there you have induced into heart attacks, to be quite fair. So cut that crap out.
Yeah, there was one he done a couple of Thursdays ago. So like obviously new music drops usually on Friday mornings, and he tweeted at like just about close to midnight on Thursday night, writing something, and I think everyone was like, "Oh right, okay, so maybe something's happened." And then he's just giving a shout out to that guy Barry Sanders. So I think there could potentially be a Eminem Barry Sanders merchandise drop or extended edition in the next couple of weeks.
God.
So yeah, that's
You know what it reminds me of? Like all this tweeting that he does, and obviously, Danny, you'll agree with me this because you're more of a football, soccer fan. It's football, grow up.
football.
Right. So when it's transfer window or transfer deadline day, right, and you're like you're waiting on your phone, you're looking at Sky Sports, you know, you're checking everything every couple of minutes. Right, you get a notification through. So for me, it's Man United. You know, for you, it's Celtic or anything like that. Your clubs put a put a tweet up, and you're there like, oh, they're going to announce a player that they've just signed, and it's predicted lineup for our next game. It's like, you fucking what?
I know.
Do you know what I mean? That's what it feels like to me. You know, every time he tweets, because obviously everyone's wanting something to happen. Don't get me wrong. You know, at the same time, like, you know, it's nice that he's happy and he's enjoying what he's doing in terms of supporting his team, but I don't know. I think he needs to, perhaps needs to make a separate account. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
exactly. So yeah, that's been bugging a lot of people recently as well. He's a huge Lions fan as well, so fair play. But please don't tweet on a Thursday night when a lot of new music gets released on the Friday, because it puts people into a sort of false sense of security. Right, Christmas time is coming up, guys, and Eminem has, he's done a few sort of rhymes and lyrics over the years. I don't know if you have got any that you can sort of pick out your mind. The one that sort of comes to mind for myself would be Just Lose It, although not necessarily a Christmas song, but the music video has him dressed up as sort of Bad Santa, and there's a sort of few lines from that. Is there any other ones that you could think of that he's mentioned Christmas?
White Trash Party, I think.
Oh, that's a shout. That's
He
a good
says,
shout.
I shoot the gift like I'm hollering Die Santa, and then he says something about not hitting a tree and hitting Rudolph or something. So there's that one.
Music Box as well. I think I've said it a few times, because Relapse Refill got released around about December in 2009. Music Box reminds me a little bit of like a Christmas track because of the sort of the production of it, and obviously the Music Box playing in the background as well. That always sort of reminds me of sort of Christmas.
The only thing I can think of other than the Just Lose It video is, do you remember the postcards that he sent out? You know, when people ordered something, it was him dressed up as Santa behind a reindeer doing something suggestive. You've got candy canes in the background, like plastic elves and stuff like that. That's the only other thing I can really think of, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, he's not really done. Yeah, he's not done a huge amount of sort of. It's hard for hip hop artists to do, even like winter tracks or Christmas tracks. It's never going to happen. But he's mentioned a few things. I think in Shady 15 as well, he said something along the lines of wrap all the Christmas presents in camouflage so you can't even find them, snapping Rudolph's antlers, some shit like that. But yeah, so we are towards this season now with Christmas coming up, and we are going to be doing a competition over on our Twitter page at the start of December. So for those that don't even know that we have a Twitter page, get onto it, because we're going to be giving away Curtain Call 2 on vinyl. We're going to be giving away the mainly Eminem podcast beanie hat, and there will be some other extras as well that we're going to do as well. So start of December, if you can follow the group, and you'll be notified as soon as the competition goes live. Finally, guys, Spotify Wrapped is here, and obviously basically everything that you played throughout the year gets stored on their systems, and then it tells you what your favourite artists are, what your favourite tracks have been. So we'll just, for a laugh, let's embarrass ourselves, guys. Ross, do you want to go for starters and tell us what your top 5 artists are, or your top 5 tracks?
So my top 5 artists I'm actually pretty happy with, to be fair. I've got so number 1 is Eminem. He was like my top artist for the year. I was in the 0.5% of listeners which is like I thought it's pretty high, but I've seen some people on Twitter that need to either go outside or like actually take their earphones out because they're on like almost like 18,000 minutes.
Yeah, I've seen
and
one
they're
as well.
just with him. It's
Wow.
ridiculous.
Too much.
To be fair, my mate got a 0.05% in Eminem.
Oh wow, that's mad.
Yeah, that is. I even messaged him. I said, to be fair,
How?
like, that is. He works in a dealership parts place.
Okay.
And so going to work, he's got his headphones in. Obviously, while he's in work, he's got his headphones in. So he's basically listening to music 24/7, near enough. Obviously, once he gets home, he's chilling out to music. So I think it was Eminem and Mobb Deep. I couldn't remember who else was on there, but Eminem was like 0.05%. I was like, fucking
That's
Jesus.
nuts. But yeah, I had Eminem obviously being number 1. Number 2 was Travis Scott. He actually like took up most of my streaming. All my top songs of the year were Travis Scott. So there's no point me.
You've got it so because Utopia came out this year, so you were going to have that on daily rotation anyway.
Oh mate, yeah. But what's interesting is on this one, it shows you obviously the months that you peaked listening to him. Mm-hmm. Apparently, I also peaked listening to Travis Scott back in May. So I just obviously maybe got excited for the idea of Utopia dropping. But number 3 was Drake, and I think that's because towards the beginning of the year I was listening to the Drake 21 project they released, which I really enjoyed. Yeah, that
was good.
Number 4 was 21 Savage. I really enjoyed a lot of the features he's done, and I always go back to some of his. Ever since he released a lot with J. Cole, I can't remember what album that was, but yeah, that was. I've just always loved 21. And then number 5 was Dave, which is quite funny.
He's fucking brilliant. To be fair,
it's just funny that all Americans and bang, one British guy at the bottom.
Yeah, he's one of the best in the UK just now, along with Loyal Carner and Little Sims, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Blake, what was your list?
So on mine, because I work in a garage, like the only reason I've got Spotify is to put through the radio at work. So that's the only reason I've got Spotify. So the only rap artists on mine is 50 Cent and Eminem. And obviously that's just through chilling at home and just putting it on through my speaker. Now, the other 3, they're a little bit random, right? So I've got ABBA.
Nice.
I've got ABBA on there. Right?
Yeah.
I've got... Mate, I can't believe this. I've got Elvis, right? But that's more so when I'm in the car with my dad, right? And I've got to be honest, boys, I don't know how on God's earth this has happened, but Shania Twain's on there.
Right. That's impressing me much, Blake.
Mate, well,
that's
this
hilarious.
Is, you know what I mean? But so basically, when I'm in work, you know, I'll say to the lads like, "What music do you want on?" You know, and they'll shout out a decade or they'll shout out a certain artist. I'm fairly confident that's where Shania Twain's come from. I promise. Right?
Lies.
Oh no, yeah. Like say, I mean, it's random as anything, but the joys of working in the garage, eh?
Well, yeah, exactly. So
Love that.
My list is sort of, before I tell you my list, I have the same excuse as Blake. I basically work in an office in a car dealership and I'm taking requests on the daily as well. So we'll go through it. Number 5, I've got Post Malone, which is fair enough because, it does have a lot of sort of, popular songs as well and a lot of hits. So he's at number 5. Number 4 is Robbie Williams. I'm not going to lie. I do like some of his early stuff back in the day. And there's a lot of people that ask for him as well. So that's probably why it's there. Number 3 is another band from the UK called Supergrass. They are rock/indie band, but they've been really not been active recently, but they've got a lot of classics from the sort of mid-90s, early 2000s, so they are number 3. Number 2, quite an obvious one, Oasis, same sort of scenario, absolutely massive in the UK, so, they've got a lot of hits. And number 1 is, of course, Eminem, thankfully, because I was sort of like half shitting myself. I'm like, what happens if it's not? Because then I'm like, you do that Eminem podcast and he's not even in your top 5. That would have been really embarrassing. So yeah, that's the top 5.
For anyone listening, that's mine and Danny's excuse, and if you don't like it, that's tough.
the joys of the motor industry. But yeah, in terms of songs, it's a bit of a strange one as well. There's the first 2 are Supergrass songs. Number 3 is actually Lucky You, featuring Jonah Lucas from Kamikaze. So I think that is on one of my playlists, and it does get played quite a lot. Number 4 is The King and I, the Elvis soundtrack featuring CeeLo Green, so I've got that in the list. And number 5 is Loyal Karna's Speed of Plight, which is an absolute banger. So if you have not heard of Loyal Karna, please give him a listen because he's absolutely fantastic. Right, guys, that's basically the show for just now. We're going to do the review 2023, which will release just probably in between Christmas and New Year. It's not been the most active year for Eminem in terms of music, but there still will be a lot to talk about. He's done quite a lot of appearances of obviously boxing matches and some documentaries and TV shows, so there'll be a lot to talk about for that. But yeah, thanks for everyone that's tuned into the podcast this year. I've got some little stats as well from the show from the start of the year, which I'll just briefly go through. So the top 5 countries that we have listeners in stands at number 1, United States, number 2, the UK, Canada at number 3, Australia at number 4, and Germany at number 5. So, thanks to everyone that's listened to the show from all over the world, but, even more so from those 5 mentioned, because, you've definitely... As I said, he's got a huge fan base worldwide, of course, anyway, but you would like to think that probably is, even for his music, probably the top 5 around the world as well. The podcast has a rating of 4.7 on all the platforms. We have, compared to last year, our streams have went up 492%. Our followers have went up 999%. And our daily listeners have went up by 625%. So 97% joined us for the first time this year as well. So it seems to, a lot of people have found us this year. I mean, I know we've been going since July, but it does seem that, since January this year, that a lot of people have sort of noticed us on all the streaming platforms. So we thank everyone that's listened to us. We will have some more special guests coming in 2024, so stay tuned for that as well. Once again, we're also on Instagram, we're on TikTok, Twitter, and all over the platforms, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, etc. So if you listen to us on those, just make sure that you're subscribing to the channel and you'll be notified when a new episode drops. So guys, if I don't hear from you, I hope you have a good Christmas. Enjoy yourselves, and if you get any Eminem related gifts, give us a mention and put them up on Twitter as well, and we can give them a wee retweet. Once again, thanks to everyone that has joined us, and as I said, we'll be back with the review just before the new year, and we'll catch you then. Thank you very much.